Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends of the MCI, dear students, dear alumni, dear partners, many thanks for being with us today, and a very warm welcome to all of you to today's distinguished guest lecture. And I have the true honor and pleasure to welcome the 8th Secretary General of the United Nations, who was leading this important global organization, assuring peace and development in the world from 2007 until 2016, Mr. Ban Ki-moon. Excellency Ban Ki-moon, a very warm welcome. Great to have you with us.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure for me to join you. Thank you.
We really see it as a great pleasure and honor to have you with us. And this is in the context of the opening of our academic year, which we have been yesterday starting with the distinguished guest lecture on campus of Her Excellency Svetlana Tsikhanovskaya from Belarus, the exile leader. And today we are getting towards the highlight with Excellency Ban Ki-moon, who is now also the co-chair of the Ban Ki-moon Center in Vienna. And the other co-chair is the former Austrian President, Heinz Fischer. And they together engage in global citizenship. And this is also the topic for today. Let's engage in global citizenship, sustainability, entrepreneurship, and innovation. Great to have you again with us. I would like to encourage you or to invite you to start with your keynote, and then let me say some words to the audience. You all have the opportunity to bring in questions, and these questions can be sent to me, which will land on my computer here. And the email address to be used is livetalk@mci.edu. I repeat, livetalk@mci.edu, and I'll be happy to do my best to bring them in whenever I can. But now, Excellency Ban Ki-moon, we look forward to your keynote on Let's Engage in Global Citizenship.
Thank you, Dr. Andreas Altman. Dear global citizens, hello everyone from Seoul. My warmest greetings to you all. I'd like to start by saying that I am feeling very much hopeful and inspired as I address you here today as a lecturer for the MCI, the Entrepreneurial School. Having grown up surviving on UNICEF provisions and learning from UNESCO textbooks in the rubble of Korean War in 1950s, education has always been of paramount importance in my life. It is the key that unlocks the potential of individuals and nations, enabling them to overcome challenges, foster understanding, and build a brighter future. When I was just 12 years old, I sent a letter. That was 1956. I sent a letter on behalf of my classmate of the school, primary school, to then Secretary General Dag Hammarskjöld, urging him to help young people in Hungary. As you may know in your history, that there was a big uprising against the communist regime in Hungary, and many people were killed under the boots of the Soviet Union at the time. I could never have predicted that that young boy who sent this appeal to the UN Secretary General would 50 years later walk in his shoes, becoming Secretary General of the United Nations. As United Nations Secretary General, I made it my priority to not only work for, but with the young people. During my acceptance speech, inauguration speech, I appeal to the world's people that introducing my episode, then I honestly hope, this is what I said, I honestly hope that during my time as Secretary General, I would not receive any such appeals from young people who would be under dictatorial regime and under human rights abuses. Then I thought that empowering youth would be very important for the better future. That's why I appointed the first ever UN Special Envoy on Youth. He was just a 28-year-old, just a young man from Jordan. His name is Ahmad Al-Hendawi, to bring the needs and rights of young people closer to the work of the United Nations. In fact, he was the youngest senior advisors in the UN system. He's now working as Secretary General of International Scout Movement. As you know, the centrality of young people in policy and practice is a key. They are a major force for sustainable development. They are key agents for social change, economic growth, and technological innovation. From calling for urgent climate action to tackling inequalities and gender injustice, young people are driving the SDGs forward. Investing in programs, policies, and initiatives led by and for young people will bring about sustainable change in the livelihoods and health of young people now and in the future. We have a moral responsibility to act wherever we are and however we define our place on this earth. I call that global citizenship. I see the concept of global citizenship as a key enabler. It equips current and future generations with the knowledge, skills, and values necessary to understand that the challenges we are facing, biodiversity loss, extreme weather conditions, extreme poverty, inequality, political instability, are global and not local. Global citizens care for the world, for nature, for other creatures, because a global citizen knows that everything is interconnected. I am convinced that small actions taken by each person can move mountains and can ultimately play a crucial role in achieving our universal goal of 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda. And therefore, together with the former Austrian President Heinz Fischer, I founded the Ban Ki-moon Center for Global Citizens, located in Vienna, Austria. In fact, this is the first thing I did immediately after my retirement from the United Nations. And I appreciate the leadership of President Heinz Fischer. Our vision is to build a better, more sustainable world based on universal respect for human rights, regardless of age, gender, identity, religion, and nationality, through a global citizenship mindset. We strive to empower current decision makers and future change makers to implement my two big legacies: the Sustainable Development Goals with the 17 goals and the Paris Climate Change Agreement. My team and I are proud to have welcomed aspiring and ambitious young leaders like you from Africa, Latin America, and the ASEAN region, Middle East, and Europe, who seek to strengthen their capacities, take action, and become local or international SDG leaders as part of our programs. I'd like to elaborate a bit on our initiatives based on progress, collaboration, and youth empowerment, our global citizen scholarship programs. Thanks to MCI, each year, 2 to 3 overseas students are awarded the MCI Ban Ki-moon Scholarship, each at 10,000 euros, in various programs for master level studies. Inspiring young change makers are selected from many applications from all over the world to get the opportunity to study in Innsbruck at the International Management Center. This program allows them to venture into a new chapter in their career trajectory. We have another Global Citizen Scholarship Program by the PK Ban Ki-moon Center in collaboration with esteemed partners like RELX, RELX, and in its last iteration, also together with the Management Center Innsbruck. The program empowers 15 to 17 young change makers between the age of 25 to 35 years from all over the African continent over summer. We offer the participants a unique platform to develop their skills, foster collaboration, and influence change. With a virtual summer school hosted by MCI University, participants are exposed to knowledge and tools that equip them to spot the challenge and find the solution regarding one or more sustainable development goals of the United Nations. Taking theory to practice, the participants implement their own SDG micro projects, creating innovative localized solutions to address one or more SDGs within their communities. I'd like to express my profound gratitude for this fruitful cooperation. Thank you, Professor Dr. Altman, for making all of this possible, as well as to all committed individuals and professors at MCI who are directly involved in the planning and implementation of the summer school. Now, in its sixth cycle, the program continues to inspire and empower passionate individuals and agents of change. The Global Citizen Scholarship Program is a testament to the power of collaboration and education in driving sustainable development and positive social change. Dear global citizens, today I am here with you to share the key lessons that I have learned in the course of my life and believe are essential to become engaged global citizens. Now, something like be humble and serve. For example, Benjamin Franklin once said, I quote, "To be humble to superiors is a duty, to equals courtesy, but to inferiors nobleness," unquote. Humbleness is a true virtue, and serving others is an act of kindness and solidarity. Growing up in a time of war, my family had to flee our hometown when I was just 6 years old. That was 19 50. Despite the poor circumstances, my mother made it her mission to serve her family and particularly us, her children. She was a strong woman who worked relentlessly to provide a better future for us. In doing so, she led us by example to serve others and be kind. For your information, my mother was never educated, even primary school. That I'm really humbled that she really cared her children, 6 children, to be global citizens, even though she was not educated at all. In fact, the Korean women at that time, very few went to school. This was life at the time. Ever since then, I have been striving to be humble and cater to humanity, and I urge you to do the same. Be humble, serve others, and reflect on your actions time again and again. The second principle I'd like to share with you is lend a helping hand to others. Mahatma Gandhi said, I quote, "The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others," unquote. This is what Mahatma Gandhi said. Lending a hand is a simple action that can make a huge difference. Helping others will give people hope and show them that they are not alone with their troubles. In this regard, I'd like to tell you a brief anecdote. This is about my own story. In 1962, when I was just 18 years old high school boy, I was very lucky enough to be chosen as one of the 4 students in total Korea to be invited by the American National Red Cross. And then we went to all the United States, and we all gathered in Washington, D.C. There came about 140 international students from 40-some countries. And as a final program, we were invited to the White House. Do you know who was the president at the time? John F. Kennedy. John F. Kennedy all greeted us. Then he said, now I'm quoting, "There are no national boundaries. There is only a question of whether you are ready to extend your helping hands," unquote. This is exactly what President Kennedy told us. That was most inspiring. Those words have shaped me for the rest of my life. I chose to live by them, using them as a guiding principle and catalyst, shaping my every walk and action. The third principle I'd like to showcase today is flow like water. Flow like water means water flows from top to down, but water has many some characteristics. Flow like water is a famous quote by scholar Lao Tzu, Chinese scholar, about 2,600 years ago. He was even senior to Confucius. You know Confucius. Yeah, Confucius, Lao Tzu, or Socrates, and Aristotle, they're all great scholars. He said that you have to become open-minded, flexible to change, and resilient and multifaceted like water. Water can give life, conform to any container. If water is contained in a big container, it becomes big. It can be in the small bottle, and it does not confront all the times. If there are some obstacles in their floor, like if there is a rocks, it goes around the rock, does not necessarily rolling the rocks. But once absolutely necessary, they can roll any rocks and they can destroy anything on this pathway. This is something which we have to learn from the water. I have been speaking to many global leaders, many staff of the United Nations, that you should act like water. Until you are absolutely angry, don't show your anger. Normally, you just flow smoothly. Until it is absolutely necessary, you have to take action. So water can be described in many ways, but it surely has one chief characteristics. It is formless. It doesn't have any form, formless, and can adapt and become what it needs to suit the situation. What does it mean to be formless? A formless mind is free of prejudice and is capable of endless expansive growth. It keeps responding to novelty without rigidity and judgment, but can respond to any situation with a curiosity, openness, and eagerness to learn. Ladies and gentlemen, the fourth principle that I mentioned in many of speeches is leave no one behind. I think that we should all be together. This is a central and transformative promise, key motto and basis of the Sustainable Development Goals, with the 17 goals. This is Global Agenda 2030, which was adopted on September 25th, 2015, during my time. I'm proud to have prioritized these Sustainable Development Goals. I'm always wearing this badge, meaning this Sustainable Development Goals with the 17 goals. Now, the principle of leaving no one behind represents the clear commitment of all UN member states to eradicate poverty in all forms and to put an end to discrimination and marginalization. But leaving no one behind does not only entail reaching the poorest of the poor, but also requires combating discrimination and rising inequalities within and amongst the countries and their root causes. Think about your own class. Do you have a fellow students that are often left out? Kids that are marginalized because they are different, maybe because they look different. Did you maybe even yourself laugh about someone or mock them? If you did, please think again. Please think again. We are a community. We are same people. We shall leave no one behind. It is important to start and listen and understand other people's opinion, what their challenges are. Try to walk in someone else's shoes when they are not feeling their best. Practice empathy, dear young leaders. In order to attain a just and prosperous future for all, we must work in our classrooms, in our families, in our communities, but also in the wider society together. Also to achieve peace and justice for all without discrimination and marginalization. That means leaving no one behind. Now I'm just now concluding. Let us focus on the unifying rather than the dividing aspects between us as human beings. I will leave you with the eloquent words of Pope Francis, who in his encyclical Laudato Si, on care for our common home, said, I quote, this is a Pope said, we require a due and universal solidarity. We must regain the conviction that we need one another, that we have a shared responsibility for others and the world, and that being good and decent are worth it, unquote. So please, ladies and gentlemen, work hard in your life and future careers, heeding these resonant words alongside a driving outlook rooted in global citizenship. Include the excluded and act with both passion and compassion to help humanity and our planet and move forward. I have no doubt that you can change the world for the better. I thank you for your attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much, Excellency Ban Ki-moon, for your touching but also very encouraging words. Actually, I would like to come in with some comments from my side before bringing in questions. First of all, I would like to express my gratitude and the gratitude of the MCI for the wonderful collaboration we enjoy with the Ban Ki-moon Center on Global Citizenship in Vienna. We truly appreciate the acceptance and embedding of students coming through your center to the MCI. And we also truly enjoy to working together in this project of this Global Summer School. Really very, very enjoyable. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Then what we also truly, what has touched me was the story about your mother. My mother, and I'm perhaps a year younger than you are, but my mother they were 7 children at home. She was allowed to go to primary school, but not beyond. It was only her later husband, my father, who was allowed to go also to secondary school. Anyway, they were 52 children in one class, and the primary school went from the first year to the 4th year. They were all together in this village school, so not class by class, cohort by cohort, but all together, put together in one class, 52 pupils in primary school. And I think this humbleness and care about others and look after others, I think that is very, very much what I have been experiencing also from my mother. And I think this is really worthwhile to mention all these mothers and parents who engage to start to engage in global citizenship already in their families by doing so. And then I would try to come in with first questions. I get them in already. And one is, if you look backwards in your career, is there anything which you would decide or do differently today?
There are so many things have passed during my lifelong career. If any important decisions I had made were during when I was foreign minister, and more importantly, when I served the United Nations for 10 years as a Secretary General. So any decisions which I had made, particularly during last 10 years as a Secretary General, those decisions should be quite important implications to global peace, development, and human rights. Those are three principles of the United Nations Charter. Now, it's quite difficult for me to answer this question, because I have dealt with so many different type and different character, different times, also different partners. But if I look back, and if I would make some different decision, I think I should have done much more to make sure that the women's right is fully guaranteed by whatever some decisions, or then do more for youth. Many people ask me, what are you proud of, what your achievement? Normally, I just say 2.5. What are two? One is a Sustainable Development Goals. Another one is a Paris Climate Change Agreement. This is a perfect. I don't have any regret. Only regret is that they are not being implemented by the world's leaders and world's people. But I have done perfect one. But what is a half? I should have done much more for women's empowerment. And I just touched on this, youth empowerment. So these are something which my successor and other, who will come later, should do more. In fact, I am still proud that it was me, during my time as Secretary General, I have enhanced much higher place the women's empowerment. If you look at the record of the United Nations since 1945 to 1992, 47 years, there were only three women who had risen to the rank of Undersecretary General. This is something like ministerial level in the national government. During my time, then my predecessor Kofi Annan did something, but not enough. I established sort of, if I compare to national government, Ministry of Women. This is called at the United Nations UN Women. This is a full-fledged one department, like a ministry of a national government for women. And I began appointing and fighting against our male senior advisors who were opposing to my appointment. I ended up during my time 155 appointments of women at the senior level. This is, I think, it never happened in any time. It happened during my 10 years time, and I'm proud that there are many more women leaders are now handling global issues. Now, I have even touched on the military side and police side. So I have appointed many women generals generals for UN peacekeeping operations. Just they challenged me, Mr. Secretary General, how do you ask women general in command of UN peacekeeping operations? Let us test. If you are not happy, let me give them 6 months. If you are not happy, come back to me. Then I will replace. But nothing happened. So you should be proud that there are many proud women leaders. This is something which I can tell you. But if I really wanted to do more differently, then I should have done much more on youth empowerment. But I just started because I had been fighting too much, so I lost my energy at the end. So, but I established this youth empowerment office, and now it is being augmented by my successor. Thank you.
Thank you for this extensive response to this question. And perhaps that can give you more emotional or mental peace. There is a very nice short novel book by the French philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre. And the book is about that he, now getting towards retirement and towards the end of his life, he regrets that he has made so many mistakes, and then he expresses the wish to the good fairy to, if I had the opportunity to do everything over again, I would do it differently. The good fairy comes, brings youth to him again, and what he does exactly the same again as in his stage with his wisdom at that time, his expertise. Certainly he would run into the same traps and mistakes over and over again. But I think that is a very, very nice book. Anyway, when it comes to women,
this is quite a difficult question. Professor Altman, there are many more able person in this world, so it may not happen to me again, but suppose if it happens, I would be more aggressive and even with some angry face challenge the current system of decision making of the United Nations, particularly Security Council. It seems to be almost impossible to touch it as long as this current Security Council system continues. I'm afraid to tell you that it will be only the people of the world who will suffer because of the so-called the P5s, permanent members 5, like the United States, United Kingdom, France, Russia, China. They can kill any decision only by one country. Whatever you said, 192 countries may say, just one country can kill all 192. This is by any standard, by any definition. There is no such a power in this world. President Biden, he cannot do all in his hand in the United States. Of course, doing and not doing is a different. Maybe President Biden even can just make something not move, but in such a case he may be very much criticized, and he will have to be forced, any president. But in the United Nations Security Council system, this is totally unreasonable, unfair. And then in addition to this is a charter provision. Charter said so. Therefore, I have nothing to add. But there is outside of charter provision, which they have invented. This is a statement issued by the Security Council. Statement, there are many different forms. Security Council resolution, that's the official one, binding. That has a, P5, they have a power, so I cannot touch it. But there are many statements which is issued in the name of President of the Security Council, or that is more formal, but that is not written in anywhere, any chapter, any charter. It's not charter provision. Then what really makes me angry is that even press statement, which doesn't have any authority, even this one, when it comes to this, all 15 countries, they have a veto power. Do you think it is reasonable? Do you think it is reasonable? It's a totally unacceptable system. They must change this one. I have spoken out to the General Assembly formally in my capacity as Secretary General. So unless they change, I think you will see United Nations is moving like this way.
Thank you very much. There's only one doubt that you could ever have an angry face, Excellency Ban Ki-moon.
Yeah, I'm angry now. I'm angry.
No, but let me come in with additional questions. They pop in on my screen, and one comes from Professor Johannes Dickel. He is a member of the MCI team, and his wife, and that's what he writes to me. My wife is from Daegu in Korea. So Johannes Dickel's wife. Yeah. And this question is, now the conflict between South Korea and North Korea is not solved yet. Is it even going to become more dangerous? Is it ever going to become more dangerous again? A solution seems to be more unlikely than in the past. The North is still threatening the South. How can there be progress into an enduring peace?
Well, that is a very, very serious questions to which I might not have any panacea, any direction to do. As a former foreign minister and as a former Secretary General, while in service, I think that's one of the top priorities, to realize a peaceful relationship between the South and North. If not unification. Unification may take much long road ahead. But at least the South and North Koreans, same brethren and sisters, should be able to live harmoniously, peacefully, without any fear. But as you know, in reality, North Korea has nuclear weapons, and they have all ballistic missile, intercontinental ballistic missile, and does not care about all these Security Council resolutions. They are just provoking wherever they feel necessary. So South Koreans, as a free democratic country, and is in a very much a dangerous situation. Of course, we have a US-Korean military alliance. So we, in the case of anything happens, I think we can manage this one, but nobody wants war. Nobody wants a resolution through war. So we want a peaceful resolution. Then as long as the United States and China relationship now continues like this way, it will be even more difficult for South and North Koreans to engage in dialogue. Now, there is almost unconditional support by China and Russia for North Korea. Those are two countries only. Then North Korea is now one of the poorest countries in the world. I think people are suffering from abject poverty, hunger, and they don't have much, health systems. So people are dying from hunger. This kind of situation has been there during the last 78 years now. 78 years now. So I am very sorry to tell you that the prospect between South and North Korea is not good, because North Koreans becomes more and more provocative, and more provocative. Now, recently, the Putin of Russia and the Kim Jong-un had a meeting, and there seems to be some unknown decisions. Now, according to all this report, North Koreans are providing all ammunition to Russia, so that they can kill Ukrainians. In return, North Koreans can get some economic support from Russia. This is completely prohibited by Security Council resolution. This was supported by Russia and China. Then they are now breaking this. So this is really a very difficult situation at this time. I hope that the North Korea can really become real global citizens. They are totally isolated. You will not be able to find such an isolated country in the world. They are completely isolated, except China and Russia. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Now, Ms. Lucia Feuerbach, student of the MCI in our bachelor's program, Nonprofit Social and Healthcare Management, she has sent me the following question. What would you recommend students to do if their career goal is to work for the United Nations or the UNICEF?
For UNICEF?
Or United Nations in general?
For example, we hope that many young people would have interest in working for the United Nations and working within the United Nations. And when it comes to Charter of the United Nations, you cannot find any better framework for a roadmap for peace, development, and human rights. If all the provisions of the UN Charter are implemented, then we can declare that we are living in a very peaceful, sustainable world. But reality is not so. Therefore, I am suggesting, encouraging young people to be ready to carry on all this what had been mandated in the UN Charter. Now, frankly speaking, Professor Altman and ladies and gentlemen, I do not have much trust and confidence in current political leaders of the world. You name any person, it's extremely difficult to find a genuinely committed leader with global vision, global citizenship. They are at best, they're the national leaders. It's very hard to find a global leader. Like, for example, even though he's not with us, Nelson Mandela, he was a great man, great statesman, who he had been in prison 28 years by his former colonial power. He pardoned everybody. And he embraced the former colonial power. colonial power. When he became the president, he invited colonial president who really put him into jail. Why don't you work with me as a vice president? This is something which is rare to be seen. No, I'm really hoping that the national political leaders who claim that they are global leaders really do some global vision, have global vision for peace and development and human rights. Then I'm asking young people, I think they have the right to challenge their leaders. I think they can challenge. Soon, many of them will have a voting right already. Then they should challenge. They ask Mr. President or Mr. Prime Minister, you promised this one, you should implement this one. And let our generation be able to carry on what our ambitions are. I think you have the right. They have the right. Yeah.
Thank you so much. May I bring in a question from a school? So a high school near Innsbruck, Austria, the Handelsakademie Schwarz. They have sent me a class has sent me a number of questions, and I tried to select at least one or two of them. And one is, which are your daily activities? Excuse me. How does your daily work look like, or your normal day look like?
That's a very good question. Officially, I'm a retired person, but practically, I'm almost as busy as I was a Secretary General. I am traveling extensively, trying to get some good discussions with the global leaders, political leaders. Then, even though I'm a retired person, I'm wearing at least 10 hats on my head. I used to have only one. 40 Minister, one hat. Secretary General, one hat. With extensive areas of work. But now I have about 10 hats, official hats. First of all, I am in charge of international organizations. One is a Global Green Growth Institute. How to help developing countries green their economy and achieve this climate change, etc. That's headquartered in Korea with the 48 member states. And I'm also chairman of a Global Center on Adaptation. This is a climate adaptation. There are two policy like adaptation and also mitigation. People know we have to mitigate greenhouse gas emissions, but people are not much ready how to adapt these changing and worsening climate issues. So this is headquartered in Netherlands, Rotterdam, Netherlands. I'm the chairman of this one. Then I am also chairman of a BOAO Forum, which is headquartered in China. This is the largest in Asia, the policy forum. So I'm chairman of this. Then I have established 3 offices, one in Vienna, Ban Ki-moon Center for Global Citizens, where I am co-chairman with the President Heinz Fischer. And I have established one in Korea, Seoul, Ban Ki-moon Foundation for a Better Future, almost doing same thing. I have established one in Ban Ki-moon Foundation in New York, doing same things. So these are 3 offices are run directly under me. Then I'm also working as a chairman of the Ethics Commission of International Olympic Committee. So peace through sports.
So there's a lot.
And sustainable development through sports. There's a lot that sports can do, but I am in charge of ethics issues, how that all these sports people, organization should be, should really act in a good way, a transparent and responsible manner. Then I am also responsible for others, but I cannot tell you all what I'm doing.
But your day also has only 24 hours. When do you get up normally in the morning, if I may ask? And I mean, how many working hours do you have?
I'm
do you ever get?
I'm an early bird. I'm an early bird. I get up early, minimum at later 6 a.m. Then I begin. Then I do not have such support which I used to get as a Secretary General. Legally, I'm a private citizen. Legally. But in practice, I am quite official now. International organizations, all this. Therefore, I am constantly, traveling. Then these away from all this institutional responsibility, I take my own initiative as a former Secretary General. For example, we are suffering from all this troubled by Middle East situation. Already in June, I went to Israel and Palestine and met Israelis and Palestinian leaders, President of Israel and President of Palestine, and you should live in harmonious peace and security. Then I've been always saying that Israelis, Jewish and Palestinians should live side by side in peace and security. This is one principle firmly agreed. Live in peace and security side by side. But they are not. They are living side by side because geographically, but spiritually and politically, they are not living side by side. They are fighting. Now all this I thought that I was worried about all this situation. That's why we went there as a member of the elders. Then I went to last May, April, to Myanmar. I have very serious talk with generals, military generals, senior general. And I was able to convince them to release at least more than 2,000 political prisoners. I urge them, you are arresting all these civilians who have been struggled for democracy of your country. How come you put them all into prison? I think they released at least 2,200 political prisoners. And I also urge them to release Do Aung San Suu Kyi. So this is what I have been doing and I am doing. I am going to continue to do for world peace and human rights. This is my routine day life. Yeah.
And may I now turn the question into the other direction, because the school class, Handelsakademie Schwarz, also sent me a question. What can they do to incorporate in their daily routine to live in a more sustainable way? Is there any advice? What could they do to live more sustainably?
Their life, you mean? I think they are soon going to reach some age, and some of the university students, they have already reached the age to be politically, able to have their own voting rights. I think they should raise their voices. they should raise their voices and, if necessary, challenge their local or central political leaders. They should raise their voices, and they have the rights. Then I'm urging those young future leaders, raise your voice, challenge your leaders. Tell them that they must be responsible to make this world sustainable. You may remember this young Swedish girl, Greta Thunberg. In 2019, I was attending General Assembly, and this young girl was speaking to the delegations of the General Assembly, in the chamber of the General Assembly, with an angry voice. She was finger pointing the diplomats and leaders. I will never forgive you if you do not, address these climate change issues, sustainable development goals, human rights, etc. I was inspired. The former Secretary General was deeply inspired by these young girls challenging the global leaders. I think these young leaders, they are going to be real leaders soon in our society, and they have responsibility and they have a prerogative to challenge the leaders.
Thank you so much. Now I get receiving questions, and one is from Mr. Samuel Luca D'Angelo, and that goes, which of the SDGs do you think are still reachable?
Reachable?
Mm-hmm.
This is a good question. Now, it's very disappointing that because of a lack of political will on the part of political leaders, and because of worsening climate phenomena, then I'm afraid to tell you that SDGs will not be met by 2030. If we can meet 50%, that will be good. But the target year is 2030. And according to all these statistics, I think no goal among 17 will be able to be met as a target. That's why I met my successor, Antonio Guterres, Secretary General, then already 2 years ago. Look, I'm afraid that these SDGs will not be met. So why don't you organize and the process to have some successor vision? In fact, number one goal is abject poverty, eradication of abject poverty. The MDG, Millennium Development Goals, which was a predecessor goal of SDG, that was target was cut in half the number of people living in abject poverty. That was met out of 8. But that was met because of China. Only one country. China worked very hard and lifted 400 million people out of poverty, abject poverty. That has helped to rise the statistics by World Bank. But in reality, it's only China. most of the African developing countries and small island developing countries, Southeast Asians, they're remaining same. Therefore, the target of SDG is not half, the complete eradication of this. I don't think it will be met. I don't think it will be met.
Wouldn't you also
Then
say
we have also health issues. Climate issue is number 13 of SDGs. No way. So we are in a dangerous situation. We are in a dangerous situation as far as climate change is concerned. Therefore, I am really focusing every day. If there's any opportunity to speak or press conference, I'm urging world leaders, raise your political level, political ambition. But political leaders, they are more engaged in domestic politics rather than on these global issues. That's why I am asking young generation to challenge, to raise their voices. Please, Mr. President, Mr. Prime Minister, ministers, this is the world I and my family are going to live. Please make sure that this world is sustainable, climate friendly.
But
that's my message.
Thank you so much, Excellency. But I've been hearing and very much liking your statement, encouragement of the youth to raise their voice and challenge the leaders. But what I have often the impression, they just ask others to change something. But wouldn't you say they themselves have a lot in their hands in their own life to do differently, to contribute to the SDG?
Now, I'm asking the SDG and climate are all for young generation now. We are all passing, And then what I'm asking a young generation, I think they should not think much about I am from such and such a country. I am European, I am American, or it's not important at this time. It's not important. We are all one together in this world. Then there is not a single place where we cannot reach from here to another country within 24 hours. Then all the messages we are now conversing, discussion now, it can reach instantly to the end of the world. Therefore, we are living in a very fast-changing world. Then they should be ready. Be ready. Dear young leaders, for the task and responsibilities you will soon be in charge. You are not just a student. You may be a student, but don't think that you will always remain as a student. You will soon be in the center of all this. Therefore, they should be ready. And I have only hope for young generation, because I lost my expectation, my hope for this current political leaders or business leaders, because it's hard to find global citizens.
Thank you so much, Excellency. Now, I've received a question from Mr. Xavier Renaud. He lives in Lyon, obviously. Anyway, he had sent me the question, what would you say is the most difficult decision you ever had to make?
Wow. I have made so many decisions, but by implications, when the question is most difficult question, that means sometimes by implication, then one may imagine that it's not always a successful, You can make a decision, but not always a successful. So I made the very hard decision to reform all the mindset and the working attitude and the system of the UN, because when I assumed my job in 2007, it was already 68 years or something like this. Then 68 years after, I have, within just half a year, I was able to see that this system, the UN system, cannot be sustainable if the staff of the United Nations work like this way, with a less of a little sense of global citizenship. If the Security Council works like this way, but Security Council, I could not do it because it's a charter provision, but I really wanted to change within my power without going to a Security Council or General Assembly. So I really tried to reform completely. That was not possible during my 10 years' time. Unfortunately, because there were a lot of pushback, the political pushback, not from the staff, but from the member states, because they were trying to protect their own national staff. I really wanted to completely change all these working systems. That, it will take a long time for me to understand, explain. This is something which I made a very difficult decision, but was not able to completely realize. That I really wanted to completely change all these systems, but I might have been too ambitious. But I don't regret.
You perhaps were too polite. You wanted to leave also something for your successors, right? Some work for your successors. So anyway,
it's very delicate to say. I hope that my successor, Antonio Guterres, I think he's been doing well, but he should be more actively engaging in resolving all this political dispute, and try to something more specifically when it comes to reform of the United Nations. When you say the word reform, just is almost identified with the Security Council reform. It will be hard, I know that, because he has only 3 years to go. And then whether if he can do it. Now, current political rivalry among particularly P3, United States, China, and Russia, worst as far as I see. I think it's almost like during Cold War era. Cold War era, I think this was open, so less expectation. But 21st century, when we are living in this 21st century, I think the relationship is now going backward. And therefore, unless this political rivalry and the regional conflict is improved, I think my successor may not be able to really fundamentally change this system. This is a frank assessment.
Thank you so much, Excellency. Now, Ms. Runa Schulze has sent me in a question. Let me see. I had it on my screen before. Yeah. What personal ability or skill helped and help you the most in your career?
You mean my personal?
What kind of personal skill or personal ability helped you the most and still helps?
I think I am totally open-minded, always. I talked about some humbleness. I try to be humble. So you will see a lot of politicians hard fighting and hard speaking, strong words. But basically, I always show that I don't have any intentions, any my personal ego, personal intentions. This is for a proper, better future for the world. So I always try to make myself available, first of all, available to anybody, whoever wants to see me. Availability, and then openness and humbleness. But I am always passionate to do my work, passionate. At the same time, I try to be compassionate for those people who really need the support. So I try to always use this some elements of my characters to deal with the people and to deal with all these global issues. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Excellency. Now, another question came in from Saleh Alalus, who lives in Dresden, obviously, and he has sent me the question, do you see rising populism in the world threatening democracy?
I think this, I don't need to answer. She already knows. This is, I am concerned. We are living in 21st century. Nobody of our predecessors, nobody has enjoyed as much benefit, as much, support or scientific advantages we are now enjoying. Then is our life happy always? I don't think so. Maybe people who had been living 100 years or 200 years, in terms of their own personal level of happiness, they might have been happier than we are. But because of with all this the 21st century technology and communications, we are just one. We are living in just one small planet Earth with one family. It's a matter of global vision, global citizenship. That's why I'm really asking young generation to speak out and change the world for a better future. I think, my generation is almost passing. I'm already passed now. So be ready, dear young generation. Be ready for your time for leading this world. Then I hope that most of you are better educated. You know already all this, what global citizenship means, and you know how to handle 21st century technologies. You are much better than my generation. So in terms of, I think, some principle or whatever, then you should be better leading this world for a better world. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. As we are running late, and I think it's getting already late, especially in Korea, I think it's getting 9 o'clock in the evening. I
Yes,
try to come towards the end, and perhaps I may bring one or two more questions and then closing this event. But Miss Regina Obex, who heads and runs very, very impressively our sustainability center we have at the MCI, she has sent me the following question. Now, the last progress report on the SDG is not very encouraging to say the least. That's what we already experienced. Now comes the question. What would you say to young people who are losing courage and hope for a bright future? How to encourage them?
I advise you not to lose courage. You need courage. There's nothing easy. I think you are living in a much, much better conditions than I had been. You have everything available. It's only a matter of your wisdom and willingness, how to use your time, how to use your prerogatives. I don't want to repeat what kind of life I had been. I often regard myself, I was a child of war. There were no classrooms. I had to study on the ground because all these schools were destroyed by the war. When it rained, no class. As a young boy, we were very happy, no class. But, we didn't have anything. United Nations supported Korea. So that's why I'm often telling that I was a child of war, later became a man of peace as a Secretary General. I think you should not complain about what you are now, where you are, what kind of society you are living. There are so many things you can use. So it depends upon how wisely you are using your time. Everybody is given same time. Whether you use on sports or whether you use in just spending the time, wasting your time. So remember, nothing is free, and nothing is, what you say. I think nothing is not invincible. Anything can be overcome. You can overcome anything. So have a strong mind, and you should have some sense of challenging your own future. That's my advice. Yeah.
Thank you very, very much, Excellency Ban Ki-moon, for sharing your time, your thought, your expertise, but also your dreams with our students, our alumni, our community, our friends and partners. We truly appreciate your being here. And now, before leaving you off and closing this event, I would just bring in some comments. One is, you have been mentioning the importance of women leadership. And
Yes.
and I'm just we've been both mentioning our mothers and the mothers of the world in the world. But there's also one example here in Vienna, which I would like to leave a very positive comment on, who is Monika Fröhler. Your leader of the Ban Ki-moon Center for Global Citizenship. She is a wonderful leader, and really, really have been doing a wonderful job to select her and give her space and freedom to shape the world. So really, really great compliments.
She is
Second.
very proactive and creative. So I really appreciate and highly commend Monica Freller's leadership, working for youth, empowerment, women's empowerment, and other very creative ideas to make this world better and sustainable. So I think she's ready, I'm sure, but it should be supported by Professor Altman and the MCI and other areas. So she cannot do it alone. Nobody can do it alone, even including myself. So we need to work together. So I'm asking you, dear young leaders, ladies and gentlemen, let us work together to realize a better world, sustainable, where human rights are respected, where we can resolve all these differences of opinions peacefully. I think this is yours and my moral responsibility at this time. Let the political leaders resolve all these political issues, security issues, but soon you will be in charge. So be ready. Be ready for that. That you need global citizenship and global leadership. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And a final comment, or one or two final comments. One is, I'm not sure whether you are aware that my wife's birthday is today. So I'm truly grateful that you chose exactly her birthday to visit us digitally. And we hope to welcome you personally on campus next year on her birthday again. So just feel our warm invitation.
My warmest congratulations to Mrs. Altman for your birthday. So we meet next year again on your birthday, if not earlier. So I'm ready. And thank you very much. Thank you. All the best.
Thank you very much. And now let me show this, because I have been asked several times about this initiative, which is called the Ban Ki-moon Scholarship for Global Citizenship at the MCI. So we already have positioned this information about this scholarship, which is relevant and accessible to students from outside Europe, from all over the world, to study more or less for free. Now we have been increasing the scholarship to 11,000 euros, which allows almost a totally free of tuition studying at the MCI. So really take advantage of this opportunity. Have a look at our website and you'll find it, and we'd be happy to receive more applications. So really, thank you very, very much to you, to the jury, to the Center of Global Citizenship in Vienna. And now, perhaps just let me look into the future, into the next events. The one is Christian Wehrschütz, already taking place on November 3rd. He will visit us online. He plans to be in Austria. If he can make it, he will be on campus, but we can assure by now already online. And on Thursday, November 16th, we will be happy to welcome our Chancellor or Prime Minister in international terms. Very many countries use this terminology, Karl Nehammer. So great to welcome him on campus. But now, once again, Excellency Ban Ki-moon, thank you very, very much for being with us. Thank you very much to all our partners, friends, our community for supporting us. And now really let's have a strong word and a strong stand in the SDG.
Thank you. It has been a great honor and pleasure to have this opportunity. I hope to see you again. Thank you. Alles Gute.
Thank you.
Dankeschön.
Kamsahamnida.
Yes, a great Korean. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much.
Again. Peter then. Okay.